Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. As you probably already know, I am Steve from Middle Kingdom Fitness. And today I was thinking about there's a lot of things that people don't know about me. Some of it very interesting, some of it boring, some of it weird. So as I was doing my cardio today, I put my mind to some of it. And then as soon as I was done, I put it to paper. So today let's learn 10 weird facts about Steve in no particular order. Number one, I was in the Guinness Book of World Records in 1985. For what? Good question. Juggling. Did I do more objects than anyone else? No, I was never that good. But I went to, believe it or not, they do have these, a jugglers convention. And there was thousands of jugglers from all over the world attending this conference, this convention. And every year, they get together for a group photo and everyone juggles as many items as they possibly can, thereby breaking their own record every year for objects juggled at once. This was my first time, but even actually it wasn't, maybe it was earlier than 1985. No, at 17 years old, I had the wherewithal to jump in front of this whole mass of people and get front and center. So I was prominently featured, I believe it was the 1985 Guinness Book of World Records. Before that, number two, I was an extra in the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore, Liza Minnelli, and Sir John Gielgud. And this was just pure luck. Me and my friend, also named Steve, cut school in 7th grade one day and went into New York City. It was around Christmas time, and we went towards the direction of Rockefeller Plaza. What's that big toy store there? The very famous one. Anyway, and they were filming a movie in front of, I think it was called Bergdorf's, was famous clothing for men. And they just happened to film. We were across the street. And I was able to pinpoint myself later. I haven't found myself in a few years, but at the time I did. But that's not actually my first show business experience. Number three, I appeared in a few children's commercials, basically for a children's television show called Wonderama. Did I get it because of my talent? No. Did I get it because I was cute? No. My uncle was a lawyer for that television station. They were run by a company called Metro Media, and this was Channel 5 in New York. I'm trying to think of the name. This was long before Channel 5 became Fox. Long before that. So I just happened to be around one day, and they put me on the show, and they liked the clip that I did enough that they used it for their commercial. Okay, number four. You may not know this by looking at me, but I have an extensive wine and liquor knowledge. In fact, for 20 years or so, I worked in the field on the retail level. And my advice was highly regarded by many of my customers, mostly because I was 10 to 15 years older than anyone else in the store at any given time. So I guess they trusted my age. And that's where I kind of honed my sales techniques, some which I still use today. Number five, I've held 10 different wrestling championships in my career. Booker T has his 5. I got my 10. So, who knows? Maybe someday I'll pass Cena and Flair. Except they weren't all, I'm not going to lie to you, they weren't all world championships. Some were U.S. championships. There was tag team titles in there too. All different things. Okay, number 6, and this happened after I retired from wrestling, I became a competitive bass fisherman for a while on an amateur local level within the state of New Jersey and some of the nearby states. But what was interesting was that the tournaments that I competed in were open to anyone. So there was this one professional from New Jersey. He won the Bassmasters Classic, which is the biggest bass fishing event of the year. He won it in Louisiana, I believe. But he competed in a lot of our tournaments. His name is Michael Iconelli. And in 2 tournaments that I competed with him, I beat him. So, I could say I beat the world champion of fishing. You don't know if he was really trying that day, or he's practicing a new technique, or just having fun. But, one of them I came in 3rd, one of them I came in 1st, and he was not on the leaderboard in either of those. So Speaking of fishing, number 7, I owned a bass lure business for a brief period of time. I made my own lures and I sold them online. I even got them in a few stores, even a couple legendary stores. If you happen to be in the bass fishing world, you might know of a couple of them. But I've been away from that for a long. What did me in on that business was I was too specialized. I let customers pick the color, the flake, the accompanying smell, the style, the size. And I had one of the math teachers figure out through probability that I was actually, based on all of my options, making 18,000 different types. And no order was big enough to sustain that. So each order had to use fresh materials. And it was, I was losing money and it took way too much time. Plus also going through a divorce at that time, didn't have a studio space anymore and all kinds of things. It was definitely a major headache. And I'm glad I'm doing this now, believe me. Number 8, I am a middle child between 2 sisters. You know what they say about middle children? That might explain some things about me. Number 9, during college, I worked at a local music venue called the Westbury Music Fair. I believe it's still there. And when I was there in the mid-'80s, they were more or less known for nostalgia acts. It was more of like, in that time, it was a place where your parents or grandparents went to see shows. But you'd be surprised at some of the celebrities that I met there and actually partied with. I'm just going to tell you the names that I think you might know. Willie Nelson. Shared a little of his specialty with him. Pretty cool for a, what was I, like 19, 20 years old at the time? Smoking with Willie Nelson. Kenny Rogers was very cool. Gloria Estefan, except at that time she was still Miami Sound Machine. She wasn't Gloria Estefan. So her whole family was pretty cool and down to earth. They were very realistic. We supplied laundry services, but they chose to do it themselves. I met some jerks there. Buddy Hackett, big time dick. James Brown. We caught his sister stealing from our merchandise cabinet. Jerry Lee Lewis flew himself in on his private plane and refused to land the plane until we gave him more money than he originally signed the contract for. We never gave in, and the show didn't happen. And there was some cool acts there, things that I had never been experienced, like Motown, the Spinners, the Four Tops, Temptations. They were cool. I enjoyed that. Basically, I worked backstage, but there was a couple of times when they put us on security, and we had 2 shows that was really not the place to be. One was the Fat Boys, which was an early rap group at that time, late 80s. But the other was Menudo, which I believe was a Mexican group, maybe Puerto Rican, I don't know. But they were like a famous boy band, and we got the shit kicked out of us there. All these little like 10-year-old Spanish girls running to the stage. I must have got kneed in the head like 15 times, and oh my God. And there's nothing you can do. And like if you're trying to restrain them, you don't want to grab them any place where it's going to come back to haunt you. And finally, number 10. My first ever wrestling match was on my 34th birthday. I went against Afato, what was he? The Samoan Assassin or something like that. 34 years old. And I won. And I think that was the last time I did win a match. Sure feels like it.